So I kind of saw figments of something, Corey, and then you kind of clued me into the reality of it. Now, it's good to be back today on this Monday morning and chill. But imagine, all right, imagine. Well, I want to do an AMA maybe tomorrow, a new AMA, and I want people to tell us all the problems that they have with the previous iteration of the uplift world, because I think that there are a bunch of big changes that are potentially coming to the fore. And I mean, imagine, if you will, for a minute,
Imagine, if you
somebody
will.
could just walk in off of the street, plug into some free Wi-Fi at a restaurant, if that even exists anymore, get on their Android or their
Tablet,
smartphone or their tablet,
Chromebook,
and just like sit down with their mates and watch this.
sigh.
So what's happening? What relevance through the speak that nobody can understand? Did I just kind of hint at that?
Through this week, I love even your sentence. Like just your sentence structure is just so amazingly ridiculous. I love it. I would miss it if it wasn't around all the time. I'd be like, why are people talking in these clipped, overly logical, sensical, sentences with like only one thing happening? Jimmy's sentences always have 9 things happening. You got to be paying attention. Anyway, so Jen this morning tweets out that she loaded Mindtest. For anyone that doesn't know, Mindtest is the open source, entirely free voxel platform that we are frankly finishing off testing. Being able to port the Uplift over to it. It's like basically what that means is, you're going to be able to use this software much in the same way that you would use Minecraft. That software is free, right? So you're not going to have to pay anything, and you're going to be able to access worlds. So your NFTs, if you own land, NFTs are going to work in Minecraft as they have been. There's not anything going on with that. We're going to keep those servers on for the foreseeable future. But you'll be able to access them on Mindtest as well. And frankly, this is where everyone is going because she loaded it up on her freaking phone. So it's mobile, something that we just have never been able to do with the Java version of Minecraft, right? So PC, all these different platforms are now going to be available, and Jimmy, kind of what you alluded to, right? Like that. How many things did we get used to not being able to do, on Minecraft because we really were, and good thing we were, right? Because we're actually not in contravention of any of their new shitty NFT rules, right? But we did a lot of things, we avoided a lot of things, integrating with Minecraft because we didn't want to mess with the big corporation. And now with this open source platform, we can do anything. Right, we can have NFTs, coming out of the system, coming out of the ears. Right, we can bake all sorts of things into the actual client itself, and we're going to do that. We can, have world DAOs choose to go adult only if they can figure out how to KYC it or whatever, right? Like we get to make all these decisions now ourselves. And I think it's going to be an amazingly more, this sentence is terrible, rich experience. It's just going to be a lot better. And I think, again, I think I'm finding myself that I got really complacent. Complacent is probably the wrong word, but I just got used to what we couldn't do. Like that just became the normal, right? And unpacking that and revisiting all of those things that we didn't know we could do is just a whole thing.
Well, there's a couple key points here that I think fit in really nicely with the DAO. Of course, it's free. I mean, that's huge. That's something that we had a big hang up on, right? Because anyone who wanted to come in or build in the world, they essentially had to get a Java account. Number two, it's open source, which is huge because that means that some people who are in the DAO who might want to do certain things that they couldn't figure out how to do in Minecraft or they couldn't download the thing in Minecraft can now go in there and they can develop it themselves essentially on Minetest, right? Like we've already had a couple people on the back end do a couple of really interesting things. I mean, for example, now when we screw up the signs, we don't have to destroy them, right? Like we can edit them. And there's color changes that have been implemented. And this is just a couple people. Now, I say a couple people. They're not really a couple people. They're mind-bending geniuses, aka Gary the Architect. But just been playing around for a couple weeks and they've come up with this. So what happens in a couple months when all of these people get in there and start, banging out really interesting iterations of what we thought, were our limitations. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
See the tears in the background from the Minecraft audiences that know that eventually
it is what it is. And hey, Andre, I'm gonna message you after the show today. I want to make sure we get you on today, and I want to chat with you about my my goofy art project that I need to get rolling. I gotta start setting myself some deadlines, dude, because the one thing, I sent you the little white paper, white paper, whatever, right? And Andre, I want to send it to you as well, especially because I want to have, included in it, the automatic presumption that you owning any one of these NFTs means that you control, who gets to make merch out of it, right? On Andre's system, which is the genius of his system.
Yeah,
these are all going to be one-of-one NFTs, but I really do want to do a writing bit, right? Because it's based on AI generated art. They're all going to be one-on-ones, and that's really fun. But I want to the whole point is to trick myself into writing for 15 minutes every day. So I want to make sure I could start banking up some content. And of course, this is going to run 128 weeks, which is just on my brain, Jimmy. I know the Ethereum thing might make this crypto winter shorter, weirder. NFTs are going to make it more interesting for sure. There's just going to be more of a real market that continues or whatever. But I'm still my goals are focused around, setting things up and thinking in terms of, about 900 days to the next peak. I actually. Well, maybe we should talk about this. I talked about this on the happy hour. Well, you were there for the happy hour, right? The whole idea that we do a deflationary schedule on Upliftium with some hacks. I was expecting Tuttle to just be go fuck yourself. We've been working on this system too long. Just shut your fucking mouth. Luckily, she's a lot nicer than me and gave it some real thought. And obviously, I think the criticism that she had around launching that. The one that sunk for me is we don't want to complicate things too much now. We got mining proposals that are still, there's actually only 16 hours left. If you haven't voted on those, at least to get the quorum yet, Jimmy, please do that. Anyway, sort of rant. There's a lot of shit going on, but that's the thing. I think I get more excited the more I look at the ecosystem that we're in right now, the team that we're in right now, the fact that Uplift is yeah, fuck you, we're going to go on mobile. We're going to keep accomplishing things no matter what happens, right? And I for real, I don't think the belt tightening is over, which is hard. It's not any of this is going to be easy, but looking out towards that horizon of the next peak sets it in my brain so that I can see it all working pretty easily if we, kind of commit ourselves to that timeline. Does that make sense? Is that crazy?
No, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense because we kind of lived through it in a way. I mean, we started, I mean, we were here at the beginning of the last bull run. Although the uplift wasn't really, in full-fledged metaverse mode, it was there. It was kind of being, touched upon and built out. But I think this is really the time that people need to be building, right? If you're out there complaining about shit projects instead of building something yourself, then go fucking build something. That's,
Right.
that's what I think, right? And I think it's funny that you cut me off because I have an idea to play into this as well. I might actually dedicate some time and some resources to work a little bit more closely with the website. And I have some ideas that I think could really spark our active engagement. If you haven't listened back to the Twitter spaces, I think it's a good one to listen back to. There was, a bunch of ramblings, but I would say the majority of the ramblings had some substance, right? There was that, kind of discussion between deflationary tokenomics that you and Tuttle had, but also Lisa Chandler was in there, and she was talking about the metaverse for different player types and for different people types, and this has been on my mind a lot as well, right? I mean, to have a token that's plugged into a metaverse is a great idea, and I said this, to all the loonies who are listening to me and thinking that I'm a genius, which was maybe one. But anyway, I don't wear a watch because it's silly. So why the fuck would I ever use a goddamn token that only has one use case? It makes zero sense, right? Right? Like if I can plug, something into my phone where I can walk into any country in the world and I can pay for something, aka a credit card, right? And I don't have to think about how it works, then I'm going to use that. I'm not going to walk around with currency in my wallet. Right? If I can walk around with a debit card, I can plug it into any shop and get points. I'm not going to walk around, with a point card from, I'm dating myself, Canadian Tire, right? So this is what I'm thinking, right? Like if we can figure out a way, and I think we've got a few ways to be able to use Upliftium for people who don't even know that the Uplift World metaverse exists, that's going to be a game changer, right? That's how we bring people in. That's how we reward people. And you and I, just to, let a little bit of a hint out of the bag, when we met, we were both working for interesting projects that kind of had tokens, but they didn't really have tokens that were being utilized on platforms to showcase certain things for engagement. Now, those never really panned out. And I would say the reason that they didn't really pan out was because there was only one use case and that was going on there and that was being active. And, once people realized that there wasn't really much use case to be active, then now what happens when you set that side by side of a metaverse? What happens when you set that side by side with this channel and this show and all of these projects that we're interviewing? What happens when we can incentivize people in the world to use Uplift? What happens when we can incentivize people who really don't care about Minecraft to use Uplift? What happens when we can incentivize people to come in just to see galleries or artwork who aren't even planning on building, right? Like we open up a whole new economy essentially. Good morning, Seth. And yes, go Boyd. I mean, you guys have been killing it. I'm excited. We got to get you back on as well.
Agreed. All right, hey, before we go too much further here, let's do the work.
Do the work.
You know what? I'm grateful for Andre freaking Abello this morning. Freaking love this dude. With you, Jimmy?
I'm grateful for insane ideas that have become reality. Seems to happen a lot around here.
Yep. All right. Would love gratitudes from you guys as well. We got 4 people here, at least from Seth and Andre. Get you guys up on the board. Do you got any other ones this morning?
Yeah, I do. I'm grateful for Pomelo and the EOS community. The season 3 of Pomelo Grants just wrapped up. We'll probably have Eve LaRose and Daniel Keys on the show in the next week or so.
Awesome.
To sit down and talk about stuff. But yeah, I interviewed a bunch of people a couple weeks ago for their grant proposals, and it's interesting to see how this funding mechanism is playing out. And I mean, there's so many updates. Antelope has come out now, which makes me just want to play that "Run Like an Antelope" Fish song.
What's Antelope?
It's like basically the next iteration of EOS, really.
So are they? I heard through the grapevine they're considering doing a hard fork.
Yeah, so I guess
which I'm deeply supportive of. Like that, nothing could excite me more than them, getting the functionality and all the working parts of EOS onto a chain. And like you could rebrand all you want, but it's just, I think there's too much baggage.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
So according to the ENF, the Antelope will be used as the underlying protocol for eosio-based blockchains, a community-run blockchain protocol supported by the ENF, which will include blockchains like EOS, Telos, Wax, and the UX network. So yeah, okay. I mean, what is Antelope? It's an open framework blockchain and community-run code base. So basically, like exactly what you said, it basically takes what was supposed to be EOS and does it right instead of locking it up into a non-decentralized, have to jump through many hoops to not get funding protocol. I guess that's the easiest way to explain what happened with Block One, maybe.
Sure. Right. Well, those guys. Yeah, it'd be great to have Yvonne again and get some updates on that whole sitch.
Well, and so I talked to Sean about this a lot because one of the biggest problems I think with EOS is that there's a lot of development happening, but a lot of people still really aren't using it, right? Like people are using it, but we're still having trouble attracting new people, right? And like Wax, of course, is being used by tons of NFT and gamers, right? Like, Telos is got some pretty cool aspects to it with the DeFi. And what they've done in terms of, development and increasing their value over the last, 3 years up until the last bull run was brilliant, right? But still, nobody's really using EOS. Like a few people are, but like nobody's really paying attention to EOS. So, I mean, what happens when we rebrand it? What happens when the community kind of comes back, right? And we're seeing a lot of interesting things now where these EOSIO chains aren't fighting anymore. They're actually sitting in weekly meetings discussing the future of EOSIO, which wasn't happening at the beginning of the last bull market. If you remember correctly, everyone was pissed off at everyone else who was running on another chain because EOS sucked and Block One wasn't giving them funding. And, Wax is the only NFT protocol and Telos is a bunch of, people who just complain all the time. Like that was the reality that we came into the bull market with. And now with the ENF under their, direction and the block producers kind of coming together and, working together across various blockchains, it kind of seems like there might be a bright future come the next bull run, which I'm kind of excited about because
yeah, sounds like we got a lot of EOS waiting for the pump. Well, and this is the thing too, right? Like and I think they're smart enough to do this. Like, even in that whole community and team, if they're going to do a hard fork, promote the shit out of it first, right? So Seth, I would imagine that you'd be able to see a decent pump in EOS before that, right? And then presumably you'd have hard forked tokens in the new protocol, which frankly I think will be set up to do a lot better than EOS, I would imagine. But Seth, this is the thing, we should have you on again soon too, just because I definitely have only been sort of hearing things through other people as far as how all that stuff is going. Oh, you think it'll go to 20? Man,
I mean, it's not unreasonable. It's all-time high. It was close, right? I think.
But I mean, like it's all-time high. Like the number of people that would have to be interested in EOS or interested in the hard fork. I mean, I think it's 1,000 times more people than will be interested in it this time. Maybe. I don't know, man. Now, unless circulating supply is down to like nothing, right? And then it'll take less people to do it. I don't know. See, I've seen so many people say EOS to the moon for so many years, and it it was never going to happen in retrospect, right? Like this really obviously was never going to happen. But Seth, for your sake, I hope it does.
Oh, really nice. I mean, and so I think it all really depends too. Like one of the, in my opinion, if we can get EOS used as a second layer solution to be able to ease other blockchains like Ethereum, then there's a chance. Now, what happens with, Ethereum 2.0, whether that comes to fruition, well, it's all kind of intertwined, right? But yeah, I think there's going to be, I'm excited, Corey, to know what the top 10 is when we enter the next bull run.
Right.
It's completely different, right?
At least half of the top 10 will probably be different, which is, I think, pretty consistent season over season. Yeah, see, this is the thing with IBC on Antelope. We will do multi-chain apps. So, I think like having a really good bridge. I mean, how many times have we heard about bridges getting hacked this season, right?
Right.
It's pretty consistent. So having a really secure, and I can only imagine this would be, inter-blockchain, connectivity is what, if I'm not mistaken, what IBC stands for or whatever, right? On Antelope, being able to sort of automatically tie in Telos to Wax to UX. Is anyone actually doing anything over there? But like I know those guys, and hopefully they're crushing it. But you know what I mean? Like that, like having that ability, and then people could spin off purpose built. Nucoin, is based off of EOS.io, right? So I imagine they're going to be attached to that as well. And actually, like Nucoin's been planning on doing some stuff along these lines too. So it's going to be interesting to see which ones get the network effect and people running and gunning on their platforms, which is going to be, I love to see that fight. It just means innovation is going to go really quickly.
Well, the interesting thing about Nucoin in my mind as well is that people don't even know what it is or that it exists, but there's like weekly meetings, there's all of these projects that are basically coming together and discussing how to bootstrap this new chain into existence via their project. So when it rolls out, I kind of feel like it's going to be a bit of a big deal for anyone who's been paying attention to EOS.io, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be like an EOS community that actually talks to one another. That's the biggest problem with EOS is that they all just put their heads down and they built shit and nobody talked to one another, in my opinion, right? Like, and so you had all these projects and there was a little bit of a disconnect. Where Wax was a little bit different, right? Like when you went over to Wax, when Wax kind of took off, all these projects were collaborating and talking to one another, right? Telos as well. There was that kind of same synergy that never really happened in EOS until Pomelo, and then even, I mean, that's disputable whether it's happening now or not. Like there's a lot more of it, but like back in the early days, nobody was talking to one another. Everyone was just trying to get money from Block One, which didn't materialize. So
unless you were a couple of those ETH projects that got money from Block One, you're like, what is happening? You'd think that would get old after. I guess it kind of does. What are you gonna do?
No, I mean it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Scams in crypto never get old. I mean, I hope that people don't get damaged too much, but that's, I think, maybe our biggest problem in the ecosystem and in the network. And I want to get back to that, Corey, in this bear a little bit. I want to go back to educating people on what to be aware of, because like there's lots of things that are out there in just name that have jack to do with anything that people are doing. And it's starting to be reminiscent of, a few years ago. I mean, remember when people were throwing blockchain into their name just so that their stocks would sell at a higher price? Nothing to do with it. It's starting to happen with NFT. It's starting to happen with DeFi. It's starting to happen with Metaverse now. I mean,
oh, in Metaverse, it's always been the case, right? I mean, like every card game, how many NFTs out there to say just put land in the title? Like, oh, pumpkin. Can you stand on it? No, it's not fucking land. It's a security. Oh, but whatever. We have really good friends of ours who decided to do that, and and the term means whatever everyone says it means, right? So like there's at least a bit of an argument that you can be, talking about community or whatever. Obviously, I don't buy it at all, but other people can disagree with me rationally, at least.
Like, and it's weird because I was thinking about this too. It's like we watch our community. I don't want to say dwindle, but we watch our community get smaller in the bear, just like every other project, right? Because people tend to disappear when things crash. And in a way, that kind of sucks. But what we also see at the same time, at least with the Uplift, is we see some really hardcore community members building, grinding, creating things, attending events. That's fascinating to me. Because if we look at the amount of activity that seems to be happening in potentially one of the, most trying times of the Uplift world, it seems to be way more than a lot of other communities that are out there.
Like as a baseline, we've got a lot of shit going on, right? It's a lot less than it was 6 months ago. Yeah. Well, I shouldn't even say that. There's a lot less people. I feel like there's almost the same amount of action. So there's a lot of people that were around sort of in the just speculation phase, right? Mm-hmm. So like I'm interested because I'm hoping number go up here or whatever, right? And so people are like, again, like long game. I mean, I'm looking at number go up as a focus to create an economy that works for everybody. But long term, right? Like anybody who wants to like buy an asset right now and hope that they're gonna go nuclear in 90 days. I mean, those people are all gone. And good riddance, right? But the number of people that are actually building and doing activities and having a blast, it's down, but it's not down that much. And I think the activities is even getting more rich and contextual and stuff. So yeah, no, I totally agree. We've got a ton of shit going on, and starting the bear market with that, knowing that we're going to be able to build up from there, is why that long game sort of feel or sort of focus of mine. I get super excited about it because I think we're going to be able to. We could 10x the first year and then 10x again the number of people, the amount of activity, whatever, and be just in a fucking totally ridiculous situation for the next bull.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be exciting, and I mean, just like again, even if you're not like there's people that are plugged into building quietly, not doing much, just hanging out like they always were. In various sectors, there's people who probably haven't been inside the Uplift in 2 or 3 months that are on snapshot.org reading and voting on proposals all the time, right? So there's like these kind of two interesting aspects, right? I mean, I know.
Oh, do you know the login break for earning just got turned on?
I didn't hear that.
So, you want to make sure you collect your Upliftium from enter.theuplift.world at least once every 30 days, because otherwise you're going to get capped at that month.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so that was
just me, and then the pool gets updated for the next month, and everybody else is going to be earning more.
Oh, that's super cool. Yeah, I like. That's great.
So. Yeah, people that have like decided to go away, where that stuff has been, just kind of sticking around, being unclaimed. That's actually going to end up getting poured into the wallets of people who are actually around, which is cool. Super duper cool.
Well, yeah, let's do this before we go, because like I think I gotta go buy a car at some point, which is fun because I don't know, it's been a while for me, so like at some point I'm expecting to come into the Uplift world and try to buy stone and realize that I'm having to pay the price of gold for it, because that's what's happening when I'm trying to buy a car in Canada. I'm having to pay the price of a house for it. Because inflation is rampant, and I'm so excited to see what happens in the next bull run with cryptos and things like that. I've been kind of sheltered over in Japan, which is kind of fun. But anyway, long story short, let's go through this because I think there's a few proposals that are up on Snapshot.
Yes.
So maybe I think 4 or 5. So the first one is a UDT bursary for Gary for mind test development. He's been doing a ton of stuff. There's only 10 hours left on this.
No, you should refresh. That one's done.
Really? I just went in there now.
That one actually, yeah. This one. Oh, that's the pre-proposal one. Okay, maybe I'm lying. Oh yeah, you're totally right. I read it wrong. I'm sorry, dude.
This is the final proposal. And so honestly, like, he has been grinding like crazy, doing tests, pulling off things that we didn't even know existed, all on his own time. So definitely go and support Gary, because, you know, we'd love to give him a few more tokens to be able to keep doing this. He'd probably do it out of the goodness of his own heart, but
honestly, like,
instrumental people.
For everybody who's working in the Uplift right now, including us, he's the one who's doing the most important work right now.
Yeah.
And you know, he just decided to do it. And so, like, I think we definitely want to be the community that you know, looks at people who decide to take the initiative and support them, and give them everything that we can. In my humble opinion, I just voted for the max. With my player account, of course.
And that, like, there's some cool ones, but I'm going to put that proposal right here because I want people to pay attention to it. Again, you got like 12 hours, 10 hours.
There's no abstain on this one. I don't know, man. I certainly won't be offended if you use your team stuff. I'm still keeping my big guns, you know, under wraps, but I definitely want to see that one, you know, go well. Oh, I guess it's on the final, so it doesn't need to abstain. Yeah, no. And like, far and away, the max is going to win. It looks like, unless a bunch of people from the community come out. This is the thing too, right? Like, you know, you remember how many times the community was like, "We want to run everything. We want to run everything." Oh, really? You know how many people from the community vote?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot, and there's a lot of people on the team that, you know, are abstaining, that aren't voting, you know.
Yeah. And honestly, I think it's fine, because, like, I don't think there's anything major that, you know, we really wanted to see passed that was important to get passed that didn't get passed so far, right? And the whole thing is, you know, for the community to basically, like, be really excited about something or be really not excited about something, right? And those backstops are important, which basically means, like, the team and I staying out of the way as much as possible, which has been working, right? It's just interesting to see that, like, and kudos to, like, all the people in the community that are voting. I mean, you guys are why this is going to work ultimately, right? But it's interesting what happens when, you know, you change things from, hey, you can have an opinion and be whining in the Discord, to, hey, you can actually express your opinion and go make proposals of your own, and, you know, watch people suddenly hear their mom calling.
Well, and it's fun too, because we have a lot of friends who are maybe not active in the Uplift, but they're not complaining. They're building their own projects, they're doing their own shit, and they're more than happy to, you know, get updates and figure stuff out, right? And that's okay too, right? Like, but like, you made that distinction between people who, you know, want to have a say in everything. Now, did you really want to have a say in everything, or did you just want to dump shit all over the community? I mean, that's the question begs to be asked, right?
It does. It begs. It begs.
So there's a couple more.
Begs.
There's a couple more. There's a pre-proposal for Upliftium NFTs as miners, and there's a pre-proposal for an Upliftium miner evolution that you might want to check out. And then finally, there's one more pre-proposal that might be a little bit important, which is basically putting Mackie or Mickey in charge of the building committee as the building committee chair, because G-Kid got busy doing his own thing, working on something new that he's developing. He's still kind of plugged in, you know, he still talks to us a little bit, hangs out. I'm sure he's going to use the Uplift at some point, but you know, he just decided to go nuclear on his own idea, which I think is pretty awesome, because he's doing some pretty freaking awesome stuff.
Yeah. So. Yeah, 100%. More power to him. And, you know, Mickey's been kind of instrumental on across a bunch of different vectors, and I know he's doing a lot of really, really amazing things. So him as that chair is going to be really, really good. That one needs help doing quorum too, so we should make sure all of the it's got an abstain if any of the team members want to get in on that. I think we have some time on this one, or do we? Is it the 22nd? Oh, it is. No, we only have till 3 p.m.
This
I
one
might
has,
bring the big guns out to abstain on this one to make sure it gets through.
yeah, well, it's 2.6 million plus 2 million.
Yeah, it
We're
needs
still,
12. I mean that, you know,
we're
if it
still quite a ways. We're still quite a ways away.
yeah, worst case scenario, I'll abstain on it to get it past quorum. But
So,
yeah,
and I think there's going to
add
be
whatever to it.
there's going to be some restructuring. I've been kind of busy, with the move and things like that, so I've been a little bit absent, but plugged in as much as I can. But I think from what I can tell, there's a few committees that are potentially going to be undergoing some restructuring. So if you're at all interested in being more active, reach out to me or Corey or Sam or Jen or anyone who is kind of actively a part of the uplift, because I think like there's a few things that might be coming available, and I think that's okay, right? Like people get busy, um people evolve, people take a turn. Like I'm actually potentially thinking about stepping down from one of the committees that's more busy and going and helping another committee that is a one-man show in operation, just to not leave somebody alone in the room, right? So there's definitely a lot of roles that could be potentially filled for those of you that are out there that might have missed your shot, or you didn't have the time or the energy to be able to put forth your case for being part of that committee in previous times. So definitely get in touch if you're interested with me, because I can tell you where you could potentially go, or Corey could tell you where you could potentially go to plug in the best case for your skills, right? So
Yes.
all right, well, what else you got, Corey?
A case for optimism generally. I started doing podcasting about 6 years ago now. I'm fucking old. And I was doing a bunch of stuff with Greg and recovering political junkies. We're doing a lot of that, but we did a lot of science shows as well. And back like 5-6 years ago, I started telling everybody, Teslas are going to be everywhere soon. Electric cars are going to be everywhere soon. And everyone thought I was fucking crazy. Obviously, that panned out. Robot cars. What's that?
Yeah, in Florida, it panned out. There's lots of electric cars.
There's tons of Teslas down here.
There's nothing but oversized gas guzzling 4-door pickup trucks in like small town Letterkenny. That's
fuck Ontario. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, that takes up. Yeah, so I was talking a lot of stuff about that. One of the things, and it was actually Ray Kurzweil that brought this up. If you haven't seen his TED Talk on the progressive technology, I highly recommend it. It's old, but it's timeless. It's kind of amazing. But he said that, and this was back in 2015. Solar installations are doubling about every 2 to 3 years, right? And solar is 7 doubles away from handling entire global demand, right? And so, since then we've gone through 3 doubles, right? It's tracking really accurately. And what that means is that, by 2030, solar itself will handle global demand for power. That's real, right? Cost for production every time it doubles goes down by 20%. It's already the cheapest form of energy in a bunch of different places on Earth already, with a lot of sunshine. They're actually getting more efficient all the time. Battery technology is getting more efficient all the time. All the arguments like, oh, what happens when it's fucking dark? Like, tell your Fox News watching uncle to shut the fuck up because he's wrong, right? And like ignoring the fact that all this technology is getting better all the time, right? So all of that as a caveat, or as a sort of intro to say that we might not even need solar. Jimmy, are you still there? I mean, best freeze ever, though, I have to say. Hopefully he comes back. I think I told Jimmy about this already, but so that's been on my mind a lot. I mean, I think it changes a lot of things, especially considering we're getting better and better at turning energy into stuff. Whatever we happen to need, and I think that only gets better over time as well, right? So the last bit is, I'm friends with Steve Jervison on Facebook. We're just Facebook friends. Sadly, I've never actually talked to the guy. I just like calling him my friend because he's like definitely the in the competition for like most interesting guy in the world. He would probably win if I had to vote for somebody. He's like a hyper tech investor. He's like round one on every company that you can think of, from Facebook to Tesla to fucking SpaceX to all these things, right? But he gives updates every once in a while on some of the companies that he's in. And one of the ones, just a couple of days ago, he's like, yeah, hey, I'm investing in this fusion company. I'm sure you guys are all nerds. You guys know what fusion is. I was just gonna I should probably describe what fusion is, but you guys know. And they're set to, within a few months, to take the efficiency of fusion, right? So you always have to pour energy in to kind of create the plasma, and then the plasma kind of hangs out in that big magnet toroid and creates more power, blah blah blah, right? It takes more power to create that reaction than you get from it, right? Which is obviously not very good for power generation. So their efficiency has been 0.8, right? So it's crappy by 20%. But they said they're about to go from 0.8 to 11 in fusion reactors that should be deployable as commercial fusion reactors within a year or two. That's the implications of that are shocking, right? You don't have to dump your oil stocks right now, but I wouldn't be holding them 5 years from now. All the power of the oil companies are not prepared to combat effectively a world where technology has made power 10 to 100 times cheaper. And I think that's coming. And so, that and all the other, amazing developments that are coming in, AI content generation, which honestly, it's only a matter of time before 3D worlds are part of that. There's so much reason to be excited about where we're at. Nobody wants me for president, dude. Unless El Presidente, I could maybe be president of a very tiny seasteading community that we started in the middle of the ocean or something. But hopefully not for very long, god damn it, because it's a shit job. Anyway, there's a case for optimism is all I wanted to leave you guys with. And hopefully we can get Jimmy some fucking internet in Canada. Oh my goodness. It's really cool having him in our time zone, though. Anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I think we're gonna have Lisa and one of her friends on tomorrow, and we'll just keep going. For anyone who wasn't here before, we got mind test. Hey, Lisa's right there. For anybody who wasn't here at the beginning, Jen was playing around. She got mind test loaded up on her mobile device. Which means that when we're done testing this and we deploy it, you're going to be able to get into the Uplift for free. You don't need a Mojang, Minecraft, whatever account. Just download some software, and you're going to be able to do that just as easily on a phone as on a computer. And so, our goal of getting, the Uplift available on any mobile device looks like that just went from hopefully someday to definitely this year and maybe in a couple months. So to all of our haters, fuck you. I spent all morning, that's where my head went. And I don't feel good about that because, I want to be Mr. Positive, fucking positive guy. That's really where I went. I wanted to tweet out, to all of these people that say that we didn't deliver and that we're not doing this and we're not doing that and blah, 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 blah. But I managed to be positive until right now, a bunch of times. So I'm gonna take the points. Oh, I am a flawed man. Nobody needs me for president.